Hi friends, welcome back. It's Leander here. I really enjoy the end of the year for so many reasons. For us here in Australia, it's summer. I do a lot of swimming in the ocean. Of course, it's Christmas and holidays and there's a lot of wonderful get-togethers. But all that aside, I really enjoy reflecting on how I travel throughout the year via my workbook. And then the exciting thing is picking your diary and workbook for the upcoming year. So I thought I might share with you what I have planned for my workbook for 2020. Actually, it came up in conversation recently and a couple of people did ask me if I was going to share my methods, my plans for workbook and journaling. So yes, absolutely. And thank you for your interest, by the way. So for me, diaries are easy. Some of you would already know from previous videos, I have been buying these inexpensive day-to-a-page diaries for years. They serve their purpose so well. I pay between $5 and $7 maximum for these things. The paper is not the most exquisite quality you've ever seen, but honestly, if you just need a book that has a calendar where you need to document perhaps the highlights of any particular day, the daily dealings, anything from client bookings to your own social bookings, your own appointments. I document purchases, receipt numbers and all that stuff. It's just a work diary. I was about to say workbook. No, it's just a working diary. It has the calendar, it has the space. So I almost went towards, beautiful planner that's like a diary planner in one. But they're a little on the expensive side when all I really want to do is document what's going on. The only other subject matter that I do add to my normal daily diary is highlights for the upcoming month as far as the astrological weather patterns go. So I check out the astrology for every month at the beginning of that month, and I might write some highlights in there. And, it's not a dear diary, today I went to the supermarket, but I will document highlights of any given day that I might wish to refer to down the track. And there it is in chronological order, so I love that. These books come in every year. There's a whole new range of colours. And I've never been stuck in any year yet to find something that I like. I love the variety. I love picking, you know me, I'm big on colour and colour combination, always have been. So at the end of every year, I really enjoy going out and finding something that I feel will appeal to me for the coming year. So there they all are. I've loved my black and white, I love black and white if you know me at all, with a dash of gold. And gold became a real thing for me about 1.5 years ago. It's so bizarre how, when the time's right, the time's right. I walk in and here it is, black and white with a splash of gold. It was just me all over for 2019. So obviously I found this in, I think it was the end of November 2018. And didn't run out of space. It's exactly what I need. So I'm steering towards teals and aquas and everything in between at the moment as far as colour goes. And I found this beauty, very magical, isn't it? But really it's the colour that I want. Same thing, day to a page, nothing fancy, but very, very functional. So if I'm to pay $6 for that, you'll never find me complaining. But when it comes to a workbook, you might deem your workbook a book of shadows. It may be a journal or all of the above. Mine is probably the latter. It's a little bit of everything. I just find that my requirements change over the years. There is a theme that remains, but one year I may wish to do a habit tracker. One year I really, I may wish to concentrate on, say, some study and how I progress with that study and whether I keep up that practice or not. And I just want to document that. Sometimes that's a little tricky for me, and I'll explain what I mean there. We all know that most of us love stationery, right? We love colour, well, for me, I can only speak on behalf of me, colour combination, colour itself, design, texture, art, artwork, paper, pens, the whole lot. That's why we love tarot and appreciate the colours and the artwork so much. And I also love journals. And my friends and I have often over the years purchased journals for each other for gifts. So that's what I started to do. I used my journal that was gifted to me. This was my workbook for last year, 2018. But there's that dilemma. How many pages do I allocate for this, that, and the other? It may be deck interviews, spreads, new and full moon spreads. I have a little section that I call wisdom, which just means little whispers of wisdom that come along that I would like to document so I don't forget, which could be a quote. It may be a few lines out of a documentary or an article. It may be something that somebody says to me in passing. It could be anything, but I will write them down because I'm always... Well, no, I'm not. I'm never surprised that I forget, and I'll read back over them. And as long as I keep it nice and neat, I do read back over them. And I think, my God, how could I have forgotten that? That's super special. And if I love it that much, I will actually transfer it into the following year workbook. But how much do you need? I don't know. Other than new moons and full moons, you can paste them out and daily draws, you can count the pages out. But the rest, in this particular year, I found that I documented far more than I ever imagined in the area of tarot spreads and my astrology. I always put my experiences in further detail in here with regards to astrological highlights. And so I ran out of room in certain sections and had to kind of continue down past page 75, if you know what I mean. That gets a little messy for me. Yeah. And as much as I tried to keep it neat, what also happened was I'll think of something else. Oh, I know, a tarot tidbits section. So when people mention certain experiences with tarot that they had, and I think, oh, that's worth remembering, I'll put it in here. Oh, where? I've got 3 pages there, 5 pages there. Turned out to be a bit of a mess. So I knew I needed to find a better solution. Now, prior to that, I thought I did find the solution to me. I found a beautiful big lever arch folder in recycled paper. And I know you're probably thinking, oh dear God, that is massive. Well, it is. But I saw some people share their Book of Shadows, which are absolutely beautiful. I take my hat off to you folks. I didn't inherit the artist's gene, I'm sorry to say. There are a number of family members that can draw and paint super well, and my uncle was actually an artist, an amazing artist. He was actually offered a job with Walt, didn't he? He was actually offered a job with Walt Disney. He was just amazing, but it would have required him to move to the US, and in those days, that was huge. It's nothing now, but it was huge, and he would have been away from his family. And I'm kind of sad for him that he turned it down, to be honest. But anyway, I can't draw to save my life. So I practice my artistic endeavours in a different way, including keeping prints and images that I love. But I was moving into the, how can I say this? My tower experience, I'm sure most of you know about that. It was really beginning to escalate. And I knew that I would need a lot of room. But what I wanted, besides just a lot of space, was the freedom to add and subtract and change things around. And boy, did I. This worked so well. And I ended up creating some headings like this. Spells and magic, zero in on, whatever it may be, quotes, inspiration, you get the idea. There's tarot insights, which could be deck study or a tarot spread, full and new moon spreads, shadow work, astrology, and so on. And I loved it. Some of it I wrote by hand, a lot of it I typed up. Super, super neat, spacious. So I loved it in every way, other than the fact I thought it is a little big. Even though you can take the pages out, this served me for 2 years and I loved it, but then I could feel myself changing again, and maybe because the intensity of that tower journey where I really needed to purge so much was starting to sort of level out. And I decided to go back and use a beautiful journal that was gifted to me. And then I ran into that roadblock. So it got to a point where I thought I really need to strike a happy medium here where, you know, what is it that I can find that's going to allow me the freedom without being so large in size. Now, a few people, coincidentally, mentioned in the tarot community that they were going to buy this particular diary called a Happy Planner. And I thought, oh, of course, disc planners. I mean, they're the bee's knees, right? But I wanted to buy one over the counter. I wanted to get it quick smart, and I couldn't find. I didn't want a diary, I wanted a journal, and I couldn't find one. Only a very nondescript plastic A4 disc folder, which is designed for office work. It had clear sheets in it, blah, blah, blah. I decided to embark on a Happy Planner journal. Now, before I show you that, I just wanted to share with you, this was last year, as I said. Now, my solution this year, to cut a long story short, was to utilize a few notebooks that I already had on my shelf. I love taking notes. I'm always watching documentaries. I'm doing courses. I'm going to seminars. So I always have a few little inexpensive notebooks around. I felt inspired by this. Don't think it, do it. And of course, I'm traveling through at the time an 8 personal year. And just to give you an example, once again, I'm always repurposing anything and everything, either give it away or find a new way to use it. So I had a few little greeting cards, so on and so forth, and anything that I thought was sweet, I would cut it out and place it in my books. But this was for astrology highlights, spells, magic, intention setting, so on and so forth. This book here was all about new moon and full moon spreads, respectively. I just counted out a double page for each. Just going to show you one of them that looks rather neat. So that was enough for me, but I would always fill it up, as you can see. And I've been really consistent, I'm proud to say, with my full and new moon spreads. So that's that book there. This one here I decided to dedicate to tarot spreads, deck interviews, any reflections with regards to tarot, monthly spreads, whatever it be. So, yep. So on and so forth. Dreams, astrology notes, wisdom, observations, blah, 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 right? So there it is. It may look cumbersome, but really at the end of the day, they're not heavy at all. And what I like is if I wanted to just document something about a dream I just had or whatever, I can just take one book with me to a cafe and write for a while. But if you have a book of shadows, often they're quite large. And I thought, these are just going to fit on my shelf. It's not a problem. But you know what I found, to my surprise? I have pages and pages of blankety blank. Nothing. So I didn't document anywhere near as much as I did the year before. So that's when I was reminded of my concern from years gone by. You never know what you're going to need as the year progresses. So what do? And that's where the Happy Planner came in. To me, this is a wonderful compromise for both requirements. Disc Planner, thank you. They also have such a beautiful variety of covers. And another reason why I didn't want to buy a diary, some of them are dated, others are not. So my objective was to find a diary that is undated. So in other words, you can keep the cover. This is plastic laminated, but it's very hard wearing. It's very sturdy, and I prefer to steer clear of animal products. So I'm super happy with this. This kind of thing is not going to appeal to everyone, but I do love it. And I wanted more of a classic design that I envisage enjoying for quite some years to come. I don't want anything dated that I will feel the need to throw out. I think that's a waste. But not only that, whether it's dated or not, I want to love this for a long, long time. So I chose, of course, anything to do with stars, night sky. It's so me. But there were so many to choose from, and I was really torn between 3 at least. Absolutely beautiful. But what I love is it's the freedom. So it comes with a certain amount of pages, which I will just use to document whatever. And if you want to, this is my thing, it's not just the amount of pages, it's being able to simply move them around. You just take, if I can get one, if I can just get one page, you simply just remove it and swap it. So there's a big difference between removing a page and tearing a page out of a beautiful journal if you feel that you need to. It does come with dividers, and once again, me being me, I had to choose dividers that appealed to me by colour. And there's moon and stars. I know my inner child is singing with joy at the moment. This colour is what I'm really into at the moment. I just find it fresh and pleasing. And this divider here is my absolute favourite, including the back. That is what sealed the deal for me. I really love it. It's just, I don't know why, but it's just me right now. The one thing I wasn't totally happy with, and I did not realise this when I bought this planner, this journal, sorry, it only had 3 tabs. Really? Happy planner? 3? Couldn't throw in a 4th just to even it out? Thought that was a bit weird. So I decided to grab a manila folder in a colour that's in keeping with these sort of, I don't know, they're like, oh my God. What's the, don't you love it when this happens? Pastels, geez, Lord above. Pastel colours. It's a manila folder. I just cut it out, traced out the other one, and I placed on the back some contact paper that I already had. There's my 4th tab. But I thought it was really bizarre. And what I discovered when I went to pick mine up, the lady was very kind enough to tell me, do you realise that this comes with the smaller discs and less paper? No. So all journals are the same price for this size, which is called the Classic. But this particular one, God knows why, comes with less paper and smaller discs and 3 dividers. Just don't get it. So what I decided to do was purchase a little pack of discs. This is called the medium discs. Actually, I thought they were large, but they're medium. So isn't that wonderful to know that there are larger than this? I didn't even realise that. And these are gold, as you can see, which I think is more in keeping. It just kind of livens this lovely page up. Whereas the discs that I bought were navy blue also. So it looked a little dull. So I decided to get clever. I pulled the original discs off. You can see the difference in the size. Certainly much bigger here. And this is a workbook. I want to be able to fill this up. So once again, I grabbed myself a manila folder from my office. I cut it to size. I covered it. I had this contact paper at home already. And I bought, and I'm so glad I did know, when I was down at the shop, I bought this, so it's a hole punch that's designed for happy planners. They're not just a normal round. And I made this little workbook. I have an old, you know me, the repurposed queen. This is an old art book, old. Don't need the cover. So I'm cutting the pages out and cutting them down to suit hole punch, and there you go. So from here on in, I will use any paper up that I have here just to use it up, and from there I can purchase an A5 size art book. You know those sketch art books, the paper quality is beautiful, and they will be perfect for this. So I'll fill this up over time. Then of course I needed to laminate it to protect it. I have a very inexpensive laminator, and I'm grateful for that because the quality certainly isn't. This is industrial quality here. This is going to last forever, you know, unless you run over it with a train. But I wouldn't dare use this on really thick laminate. I would be concerned it might break. In fact, I was a little nervous anyway, but I decided to just gently click through this to see if it worked. And it worked beautifully. So I wouldn't do it with disrespect. Always just be careful. And underneath, the first thing I did was take the back off and just push through and make sure any of the laminate wasn't stuck to this, and it was to a few of them. So in other words, if you don't clean it and then you go to punch some really nice paper, it'll probably screw up somewhere along the line. So I wouldn't want to do this regularly with that hole punch. As sturdy as it is, it's got quite a bit of weight to it. But I'm sure it'll from time to time, if ever I need to laminate a cover, it'll be fine. So I'm super pleased with that. And so I have both of them as workbooks for this year. I'll just decide what it is that I want to. I'm thinking maybe tarot spreads, and just have a whole book on tarot spreads for whatever time of the year. And if I want to make a divider or three, I can still do that for this one here. So there it is. This is my chosen workbook for 2020. And I'm not going to lie, I could easily go and buy another 3 or 4 of them because I love them so much. But the most important thing is the versatility. In fact, I purchased, you can see here, a little packet of extra pages. Obviously, this is really designed for, I think, diaries. The title pages are My Brilliant Ideas, So Much to Do, Just Some Thoughts, and Killing It. Different, once again, they're those pastel colours. But look, I just thought they're already stamped. It was like $7 or something for this packet of paper. Just grab it, use it up. None of this will go to waste, none of it. And if I could buy just this normal paper, which maybe you can buy, maybe I foolishly bought the wrong one, but this is what I would prefer to buy. But ultimately, my aim is to just place some plain art paper in here. Also, just another suggestion, you can buy, they're not called tabs, I can't think of the name of them, but what they are like is a little full length, say half paper, like there, right, that goes full length, and it has a tab at the top. So in other words, you have your tabs inside, but then if you want to highlight other areas of your diary or workbook, you can buy them from Happy Planners, but I'm thinking of just making my own. But that's a great idea. So you've got like dual purpose there to make it easier to find what it is that you're looking for. I think that's more designed, I suppose, for busy people with very full diaries. But as a workbook, tarot, astrology, numerology, spreads, shadow work, magic, blah, blah, blah. I mean, once you allocate your different sections, you're not going to forget them, are you? So I don't really see that as being a problem. So I'm setting myself a task, and that is I will check in with you throughout the year and let you know how I go. But I'm super excited that I can change things around and I can extend certain sections as I see fit during the year, and that pleases me so. At the end of the year, I can keep it in here if I find that I have a very full workbook and I want to keep most of the information, or I can transfer these pages into perhaps a homemade cover to file away with the smaller discs, or I may even choose to buy another. I can make a cover, I can buy a cover, whatever, but that's the point. You have the choice and you can decide when the time is right what it is that you'd like to do. So I think that's it. That is my workbook for 2020. This is my diary, and this is my whatever it turns out to be. I'll certainly use it for something, and I think they will serve me well. So if you have a beautiful shadow, a beautiful book of shadows, and you are artistic and you can draw, and oh my God, whatever you decide to do, I'd love to see it. Share if you want to share. Like, let me know in the comments below if you do. Maybe I should just make this a VR, plans for planners. There's a thought. So if you do a VR, please make sure you put the hashtag. I'll sort it out and place all the information below. But that's me. I'd love to hear about you. But yeah, I think that's it. Anyway, take care. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, all the very best. Bye for now.